Who does your Prime Minister work for? You pay his salary, he spends your money. He controls your borders, criminal laws, and the military. He makes life and death decisions. What if he has millions of dollars of financial interests that are opposite to your interests? What if he's profiting off insider knowledge and power at your expense? Then he's not working for you, he's working against you. We call that a conflict of interest. That's why we have a law in Canada that requires politicians disclose all their assets and sell off any that put them in a conflict. You might be familiar with that law. It's called the Conflict of Interest Act because Justin Trudeau has been convicted twice of breaking it. That's why we say Justin Trudeau is a man of conviction. He keeps getting convicted. But now Trudeau's advisor, Mark Carney, has found a loophole in the law, one that could allow him to gain power while he is hiding and holding millions of dollars in interest that go against you and our country. Here's how. Conflict of interest rules allow leadership candidates to go ahead without filing any of their holdings. If Carney wins the Liberal leadership, he becomes Prime Minister immediately because the Liberals, of course, are in government. But he still isn't required at that point to make financial disclosures for many months. Only 60 days after becoming the Prime Minister would Carney be required to submit a confidential report to the Ethics Commissioner, and then another 60 days would go by before any of that becomes public. He could even put all those holdings in a so-called blind trust, where his trustee could keep him invested in exactly the same things that he has now without removing the conflicts. What this means is that Mark Carney could literally be Prime Minister for 4 months, making vital economic, regulatory, national security, and international trade decisions without disclosing his interests. The election will have happened by then. So millions of people like you will be asked to vote without knowing who is pulling Mark Carney's financial strings. To be clear, Mark Carney could do the right thing and voluntarily disclose his assets now. But he refuses. He's being sneaky. You wonder what he's trying to hide. The consequence is this. How could Carney negotiate with Trump if Carney still has shares in a US headquartered company? Mr. Trump could leverage that power against Carney and against all Canadians. Carney already sold out Canada and moved the headquarters of his company, Brookfield, to New York just 6 days after Trump threatened tariffs to take away Canadian jobs. How could Carney support Canadian energy if that energy would compete with foreign investments that he might have? How could he regulate financial institutions to stop ripping off small business when one of his companies is accused of doing just that? And how could he save jobs when one of his companies is presently laying off 1,000 workers to pay shareholders? That is why today I am announcing that a common-sense conservative government will amend the Conflict of Interests and Ethics Act to require anyone who becomes a leadership candidate for a registered federal political party to disclose all their holdings to the Ethics Commissioner within 30 days and publish them publicly within 60 days. We will also require prime ministers and ministers to sell off assets that put them in a conflict within 30 days of taking office. That will put you back in charge of your government and bring home power to the people. It will ensure that our leaders work for you, not for greedy and corrupt interests. It will prevent our leaders from selling out our people for personal profit, and it will stop corrupt, immoral, elitist, and globalist forces from pulling the strings of the people in charge. Simply put, our leaders must put Canada first. Let's bring it home.